You should warn the viewer that my voice is greatly impaired today.
Okay, well, I think that counts as a warning.
Okay, viewers, my voice is greatly impaired today due to an unknown bacterium or virus or allergen. So direct any complaints there, please.
Or hostile witchcraft. At last, you pull up to the front entrance of the house and step out of the cab with Figs.
I can't believe I'm about to see her.
Figs says.
I'm shaking.
Remember, stay in character. Together, you walk through the front hall and towards the dining room, where you can hear the guests are already taking their seats for dinner. The dining room's long, rectangular, dark walnut table is spread with vibrant autumnal floral centerpieces and silver candelabra, with 3 white candles flickering in each. Swags of powder blue, rose, and parchment hydrangeas and eucalyptus adorn the crystal chandelier, matching the colors of the charger plates. Aunt Primrose sits at one head of the table, directing footmen to bring out the first course. Across from her, at the other end of the table, sits Colonel Firesnuff, who is delivering a lecture to one of the underfootmen regarding the way boots are made these days. I'm sure inferior to the way they were made in his day.
Certainly.
Yes. Hayes and Mopsy sit next to one another on the near side of the table as you enter. They're bickering over the salt cellar. Next to them, near them, sits Inspector Ambrose, examining his silverware and impassively regarding you. Rory and Frankincense are sitting companionably close to each other on one side of the table. Oh, Laura might have missed this, but they announced their engagement.
Yeah, we kissed him and then they announced their engagement.
What? Oh,
Huge
man.
bummer.
Yeah.
We're only halfway through. It's not over till it's over. Facing you as you come...
better believe it.
Facing you as you come into the dining room. Rory lifts his glass to you as you approach.
Good to see you, Cotswold.
He says. Frankincense gives you a winning smile.
I hope you enjoyed your walk, Cotswold. What a beautiful evening for it.
Rory and Frankincense look at each other.
We do both enjoy Cotswold so much.
Frankincense remarks to Rory, and then they both laugh. I suppose this is true.
They don't even know the half of it.
Or do they? Have they been sharing stories?
Oh, no.
Yeah, they might be comparing notes about, who we gave the better kisses to. So I guess there's just going to be a cold going around. It's a bunch of people in close proximity, it's likely.
Hello, Cotswold.
That's still really primrosy.
That's a sick primrose. It's not like the full force I usually give it.
Yeah, she's just kind of tired after, that long day of hunting.
Yeah, long
Yeah.
hunt.
Yeah.
And then she didn't even, get the after party that she signed up for. She was so disappointed that, someone had gone through on their pogo stick.
So disappointing, really.
And she just spent the entire after party just staring at her gift from Rory.
Oh no, God bless this home.
Says Aunt Primrose, looking critically at a fork, or possibly at a flask. Figs stops just behind you, gulping audibly.
Oh no.
We have another decision.
How much does he actually look like the picture?
It was a blurry picture.
I mean, I think just, the picture was mostly big red beard, I think.
So I guess we're just mostly big red beard.
Yeah, and raccoon. A lot of raccoon.
Okay.
And glue.
Oh, very glue. And say it's his cologne.
I'm kind of feeling helping him. The first one.
I like helping.
Go on, sir. I whisper. I'm here to help.
I trust you, Cotswold.
Fig says, stepping forward at nearly an imperceptible pace.
It's Professor Hickory!
Shouts Aunt Primrose, clapping her hands and jumping up to take his hands.
I had been under the impression that you had decided to cancel your trip. Welcome, you're just in time for dinner.
Yes, I am Professor Hickory.
Says Figs.
And I am here at your invitation, Mrs. Patterson. Thank you for your hospitality.
Inspector Ambrose clears his throat.
That's all genuine, right there.
Oh dear.
Yeah. That is a fascinating outfit you have on, Professor. I make it something of a study to determine what a person is like, based solely on small details about their appearance.
Figs gulps audibly. He's probably going to be doing that a lot.
For example, I can tell from that raccoon that you are a lover of sport and animals. You probably believe that you give your team good luck when you wear it, so you chose to put on your lucky mascot suit, even to a formal dinner. Because we're going with the idea that he's dressed as a raccoon, and if we're talking about sports, he's just got like a sign that says "Go Team" is what I'm picturing, and then like he's wearing, like, okay, so picture with me, he's wearing like most of a mascot suit, but no head on it, and he just has this crazy beard.
For a raccoon suit, maybe he also has face paint.
Oh my god. And the beard.
Yeah, the beard is just coming down below the face paint.
I mean, I know that's an amusing picture. Somehow, for me, it's still more amusing to just picture basically this
Okay, wait,
giant,
I have this.
Almost spherical beard, and just like this shaggy tramp raccoon coat. Like, basically like he just came out of a forest somewhere as a hermit.
Yes.
Honestly, I still like picturing him like just having a live raccoon draped on his shoulders.
That's right.
Fig says.
What is your team of preference?
Here Figs looks positively stumped.
Go on.
The painters.
He says, blurting out the words. Inspector Ambrose takes a moment to write that in his notebook.
I've never heard of that team. Are they from around here? What sport?
Oh, you wouldn't have heard of them. They're a foreign team who play an obscure sport.
Says Inspector Ambrose.
All right. That is quite enough.
Says Aunt Primrose.
Do not play guessing games with my honored guest. Just look at him. You're making him feel self-conscious.
Figs takes a big step backward and looks back at you.
We could just abandon him and go next door.
No, don't abandon Figs.
No, I'm not going to. I just find it funny as an option.
Yes.
Good luck, I whisper, and then I go stand next to Rory.
You could hold out the seat for next to Mopsy for Figs to sit down. I like that.
Okay. I hold out a seat next to Mopsy for Figs to sit down in.
Oh shoot, but what if
I clicked
Too
it.
late.
Wait, I was just thinking, what if Aunt Primrose wants Mopsy to end up with this guy and then realizes it's Figs later? Or he has to pretend to be this professor for the rest of his life.
I mean, I think the professor was already getting married to someone else, so...
He did propose to someone else at the station.
I mean, could have turned him down.
Yeah.
And speaking of station...
Hi, Choo-Choo. Right on cue.
If you would like to take a seat, sir, you say, holding out the chair next to Mopsy. You might take this one, which I've chosen at random from the ones available.
Clever. Oh, I suppose that's all right.
Says Aunt Primrose, disappointed.
I thought you might sit next to me, but sit wherever you like. We're all one big happy family here.
Oh, I felt sorry for her.
She kind of has a crush.
And she's had a tough day.
Yeah.
Oh, she's had a sad day. Listen to her voice.
Figs, as if he cannot believe his luck, sits next to Mopsy.
Aw. Cotswold,
Says Aunt Primrose.
if you don't mind, would you please help serve tonight? I hate to ask it of you, but I need one more well-trained server for such a large party. Thank you ever so.
Mopsy turns from her annoyed conversation with Hayes to focus on Figs. She puts down her wine glass a bit harder than necessary.
Oh no. Are you quite all right, Mopsy dear?
Aunt Primrose says.
You seem beside yourself.
Mopsy stands up, and you see she has changed into a flattering black dinner dress. She wears 2 long knotted strands of pearls, which she fiddles with as she speaks, making an annoying clicking sound.
No.
Did that pick up?
Yeah.
Yes. It was annoying.
She holds out a cream-colored envelope to Aunt Primrose.
I have here a letter for you.
There's a defiant note in her voice, and she looks towards Figs, who is dumbstruck with adoration of her every movement.
A letter for me?
Aunt Primrose says, taking it.
What do you think, Oswald? Is it really proper to read one's correspondence at the dinner table?
I forget. Do we have any idea what's in the letter?
I believe we do not.
Okay.
I mean, we could have known what was in it if we had searched her room.
Oh, that's not good. That's invasion of privacy.
Yeah, it'd be kind of rude.
I mean, yeah, that you do that a lot if you go with the looking through people's rooms route.
Dun 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 dun. So yeah, James Bond.
I guess I'll go kind of middle of the road. It's like, well, maybe you can open it. It might be permitted in extreme circumstances.
Yes. Among close friends and family, it might be permitted in extreme circumstances.
Gotta say, like, extreme. I'm picturing, like, extreme sports. I assure you that this is an extreme circumstance.
Says Mopsy.
One can hardly think of a circumstance more extreme. Is that so?
Says Aunt Primrose, grinning toothily and turning to the others.
Young people today are all young people today are all terrible. That's not what it is supposed to say.
That is
That
what she's
too.
thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. Young people today are all in a terrible rush and believe everything is important. Didn't used to be that way. My grandmother used to sit in her rocking chair and she wasn't in a hurry. I don't recall her ever once leaving that chair. Auntie, I insist. Oh, you insist?
Says Aunt Primrose, sharing a look with everyone.
Yes.
Mopsy says, clicking her pearls.
That quickly?
I could try to just, like...
You'll find inside it is an important document that I wrote in which I express my deepest thoughts.
Click. She beams at Figs and then at you. Aunt Primrose opens the letter and removes the pale pink piece of stationery inside. She clears her throat and...
Joking.
Is that helping your sore throat?
I mean, like, I kind of, like, make this, like, bad screechy sound if I don't do it every once in a while when I, like, breathe. So I think it's helping.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
She does that and reads the letter.
Yes.
Her voice,
Yeah.
her voice
Her voice is also lost.
growing louder and higher pitched as she reads.
I lost my voice in the war.
Oh, I didn't know there was a war between, like, the hunt and dinner.
It was a battle of the bands.
World War I.5.
The battle of the bands, in which Callie lost her voice.
Oh.
Oh dear. Okay. Dear Aunt Primrose, I have something to declare. You won't like it, so be aware. Can you hear my nightly cries from hearing all your dirty lies? How can you treat me the way you do? You grind me underneath your shoe. I'm feeling like a raw cashew. I know you're hearing nothing new, and so I bid you adieu. Sincerely, Mopsy.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
She and Figs go together. They're both terrible at what they do.
I love it. What is the meaning of this, Mopsy?
Yells Aunt Primrose.
Quietly. How dare you write such an impertinent poem to me? It's the truth,
Says Mopsy.
and I have the courage to show it to you now. You'll never separate me from my love. I already have, and I will continue to do so.
Fumes Aunt Primrose, but Mopsy just smiles at Figs, who seems in awe of Mopsy's lyric.
Of course he is.
I am more determined than ever
Says Aunt Primrose.
to keep you from that ghastly man. If he should dare set foot on my property, I will string him up from the rafters. I cannot understand why that man holds such an attraction for you.
Similar artistic styles.
Yes.
Figs
Which
looks
is to say tacky.
Figs looks horrified and begins chewing anxiously on his beard until you make a subtle motion to cease.
Honestly, he doesn't know where that's been.
It's a raccoon. Well, no, the beard's gone. Maybe his beard is a separate animal, though.
It's a red squirrel.
Oh no, don't chew on that.
The conversation becomes general for a few moments, but you consider Aunt Primrose's words. If you had to guess, you suspect that she will soon ask the supposed Professor Hickory his professional opinion about Mopsy's love for Figs, to demonstrate to Mopsy that her overwhelming passion is not wholly rational. Figs, of course, will have no idea how to respond, and will likely be flustered by the question, hitting home as it does. You look again at Aunt Primrose. Yes, the question is definitely coming. What will you do about it? You could help Figs come up with an answer that would be in character for Professor Hickory, which would help Figs maintain his disguise. Or you could devise an answer that might sway Aunt Primrose's opinion about the possibility of marriage between Figs and Mopsy. Or you can simply try to maintain the dignity and decorum of dinner, which would probably improve Aunt Primrose's mood.
I feel like, I don't know, this is a big decision for me.
I believe in you. You'll make us a good choice.
I want to support young, untamed hearts.
Okay, I must think of an answer
Support
that's...
the youngins.
I must think of an answer that's...
Kids.
Sorry,
Sorry.
what? I didn't
I was
catch
saying
what
we
you-
gotta support these kids.
Oh, yeah.
Support the heck out of these kids.
Support the kids.
Yeah, I must think of an answer that supports young, untamed hearts, which should please Mopsy. I shall then jot the answer on a napkin and put it in front of Figs. Hope that Figs can actually...
He will just be like trying to peer at it. Like he'll just hold the napkin up in front of his face and read. Yeah.
No, Figs, please don't.
You suppose you could feed Figs what Professor Hickory would actually say, but it might be doing him a kindness to come up with something that would please Mopsy. You ponder the wording. Perhaps, young people must not be prevented from heeding what their hearts tell them. Very frequently, they see far more wisely than those adults around them. I can see that this young woman, gesture to Mopsy, is both wise and sensitive. Got all that down on the napkin.
Cotswold has very small, neat handwriting,
Yeah.
and
Well, it's a very big napkin, which I also like visualizing.
it's also very difficult to write on napkins. Like, I don't know if you've tried that before.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing a giant napkin.
Maybe it's one of the ones that's really fancily folded, so it's like, birds and flowers and...
There's a lot of napkin there.
You then replace Figs' napkin in front of him as he listens to Colonel Firesnuff correct Frankincense regarding a matter of sport.
Oh yes, how interesting.
Figs says, trying to participate in the conversation.
I agree.
He is doing all right now, but it will surely be only a matter of seconds before Aunt Primrose asks him a question about psychology that he cannot answer. Aunt Primrose turns to Figs.
Professor, you have written a good deal about human psychology. What you make of a young woman who has become obsessed with a man that most people see as something of a buffoon. First I thought that said button, I'll be real honest.
I briefly saw it as baboon.
What most people see as something of a button, which most people see as something of a baboon. I speak here, of course, of a fellow known colloquially as Figs. You don't know the gentleman. He keeps low company, no doubt. Not like you. At any rate, what is your professional opinion of my niece? Auntie!
Screams Mopsy.
I am merely asking what science has to say on the subject. It's not personal.
Aunt Primrose says.
Well, Professor.
Figs glances at you. You have a bit of food on your upper lip, you say, sotto voce. You may wish to use your napkin.
Is this any time to wipe my face?
Figs hisses at you. How do we get him to look at the napkin?
I really like signaling Rory.
Okay, Rory may be able to pick up on my nonverbal cues. It is a long shot, but I try signaling to him to tell Figs to use the napkin.
Yeah, let's do it.
He's not the most observant person, but...
You and Rory are often able to communicate volumes non-verbally, but sometimes still using your lips.
Only recently.
That's a new development.
Yes.
You motion gently with your head, specifically the lip part of your head. And then,
now I'm just imagining pointing with your lips.
And then make a subtle lip gesture towards Figs and his napkin. Rory is talking to Frankincense, but turns away, noticing your slight lip movement. It is
What sort of noise did you get for that?
It is gratifying to see how Rory immediately grasps your meaning.
I love it.
You watch as Rory throws a roll at Figs and then mimes reading his napkin. Figs says,
Ah!
And then scrutinizes his napkin furtively.
Rory, are you 6 years old?
Aunt Primrose shouts.
What is the meaning of your playing handball with the foodstuffs at my honored guest?
Sorry, Auntie. Just a passing whim.
If you throw one more thing, I shall exile you from my table for 1 year.
Rory looks suitably abashed, but then winks at you when Aunt Primrose turns back towards the supposed professor.
Do go on, Professor Hickory.
Aunt Primrose says.
I would like to hear your answer.
You ask an excellent question.
Figs says contentedly, now supplied with an answer.
Young people must not be prevented from heeding what their hearts tell them. Very frequently they see far more wisely than those adults around them. I can see that this young woman is both wise and sensitive.
Huh.
Mopsy says.
Is that really what you think?
Aunt Primrose says.
It is.
Figs asserts with some confidence.
Well, I'm dashed.
Aunt Primrose says.
That was not the impression I had of your opinion, Professor.
Mopsy's eyes sparkle at Figs. She clearly is impressed at his performance. The two of them lean towards each other and begin to whisper, no doubt conspiring further plans that you will become enmeshed in.
Wonderful.
Yay. There's a blessed lull in the conversation as the guests feast on the jambon au jus and pommes de terre avec poireaux et romarin. Figs seems to be doing well. He converses with Aunt Primrose confidently and even deals well with some queries from Frankincense and Colonel Firesnuff. Mopsy looks at him with adoring eyes, which happen to be her own, and passes him a series of notes under the table.
You know what the professor would enjoy?
Frankincense says, suddenly putting down her fork. Oh, Aunt Primrose looks at Frankincense, and then at Frankincense's plate, which has some food that Frankincense brought for herself, a stew of grains, escarole, and mushrooms. Aunt Primrose wrinkles her nose.
What do you have in mind? Perhaps the professor would like to take a turn through your art gallery before we have our dessert? You do like fine art, don't you, Professor? And this house has such a lovely collection. What a fine idea,
says Aunt Primrose.
Yes,
says Figs.
I would be very interested to see your artwork.
Here, Figs turns to you.
I would be especially interested in seeing any new acquisitions.
He winks.
Wink.
He winks at you several times.
Wonderful,
says Aunt Primrose.
Oswald, why don't you accompany us and teach Mopsy something about art, or anything at all, really?
Well, we could suggest it's a bad idea. Say it's a
We're
fine
going. We gotta go for it, right?
Yeah, we have to do this.
A fine suggestion, I say to Aunt Primrose.
We have to.
We're just gonna stick our head on the chopping block.
Don't we have to see it? I mean, this is the payoff. We put the artwork right there. We have to see the ending.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
We can't back out now. It's a fine suggestion. It's just this way, Professor. We'll take a turn around the gallery and we'll be back in time for the next course.
Figs runs his fingers through his beard, shaking out a number of crumbs, which he feeds the raccoon, and then gets up, squeaking his chair.
Eek!
Thank you for being a chair.
For someone who's not doing voices today.
I'm doing very minimal. It's like okay, if I'm an orchestra, I'm down to just the woodwinds, or maybe just the brass, because really I can't get that very high. I'm making mostly breathing sounds, not using my vocal cords all that much. I just collect the things,
says Aunt Primrose.
I never know what to say about them when guests ask penetrating questions about art. Come along now.
You follow Aunt Primrose and Figs into the art gallery, with Mopsy close behind, writing in her diary as she walks. Figs immediately observes his portrait of Aunt Primrose, tucked into the frame of another painting, and he rubs his hands together in glee and anticipation.
No, please, Figs, stop. You have so many beautiful pieces of art,
says Mopsy, looking every which way.
All the colors and paints and everything. I think my favorite one is...
She moves her finger around in a gradually shrinking circle until it lights on Figs's painting.
That one.
Aunt Primrose looks where Mopsy is pointing, does a double take, then holds her lorgnette up to her eyes and does a triple take.
What is that?
She says to you.
Oh, do you see what I see? Or is it an apparition meant to haunt me for the indiscretions I committed as a youth?
How will we deal with the situation? Laura, just imagine the ugliest painting ever.
Like, you scarcely want to call it a portrait.
You couldn't tell that it's tell that it's a person unless you actually knew.
You couldn't tell that it was a person except for, like, the googly eyes.
I want the professor to offer his expert opinion.
Okay, I suggest that the professor... What?
Put him in the hot spot.
Yeah. I suggest that the professor should offer his expert opinion on this piece of artwork, and I then whisper something reasonable for him to say. I think I must defer to the good professor on this matter, you say, making a subservient gesture to Figs. Mopsy offers a sparkling smile and pushes Figs forward a step towards Aunt Primrose.
Well,
he says. You lean forward, and as you pretend to be blowing your nose in your handkerchief... That was not what it was supposed to make.
No, that was like not a sneeze.
Well, it's pretend after all.
Yep.
It was like your nose was trying to produce dubstep. Wob, 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 wob. I don't know.
So you pretend to be blowing your nose in your handkerchief, but accidentally invent dubstep. You whisper to Figs. Figs nods and clears his throat.
Preparing to dubstep.
The word spectacular comes to mind,
Figs says.
I do not want to tell you what you ought to think, but as for me, I can see the hours of labor put into it. Indeed, the love poured into the canvas.
Can you indeed?
Aunt Primrose says.
Extraordinary. Whereabouts did you see that?
I can envision every brush stroke the artist made as he worked.
Figs goes on, warming to his topic.
Every time he cleaned his brushes with turpentine, every time he mixed that particular shade of cadmium yellow into burnt umber, the passion of the piece comes through, nearly bursting out of the canvas, here before us into your gallery. You cannot deny that sort of devotion, that sort of inspiration, Mrs. Patterson.
She looks at... She looks at the painting again, winces, looks away, and then looks back.
I suppose it's possible I may be slightly out of touch with the modern world of art.
Trust me, Mrs. Patterson, you have there a gem for the ages, suitable to be said in the same breath as Tintoretto or Titian.
Though, incidentally, if you are wondering, the joke in art history class was that Titian did paint a lot of things that if you pronounce his name the other way, it would sound like.
He was into nudes, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Especially women nudes.
Of a particular hair color. That was named after him.
Hopefully this portrait isn't.
No, please God.
Can you even tell?
Maybe not. Maybe that's for the best.
Figs folds his arms and nods gravely.
I think we've missed the real question here, though.
Says Aunt Primrose.
Why is this here in the first place? It's not my painting.
Figs looks to you uneasily.
I would say the third one. The third one sounds good.
I believe I heard that a local collector bequeathed it to you, knowing that you have a collection suitable for displaying valuable artwork properly.
Sure, if you can consider Figs a collector of his own artwork.
I mean, that is probably the least dishonest.
Yeah.
You mean he probably has more than one piece. That's a collection.
Yeah.
Bequeathed it. But who? Old Mrs. Fabian is still kicking, and old Wentworth and I loathe each other.
Perhaps it was an anonymous donation, in recognition of your years of service to the community. She approaches the painting.
Why would I want someone else's cast-off? Could be worth something, though, possibly.
Well, something. Aunt Primrose looks at Figs's painting more closely, considering it from all angles.
But what's it supposed to be?
She says.
Something loathsome, obviously.
Actually, it's...
Says Figs.
No, stop, Figs. No, I can figure it out for myself. It's clearly some sort of gelatinous heap of trash or compost piled on a chair. A sort of statement on modernity or something or other, now I imagine. What is at the bottom? Some sort of writing here. Title, no doubt? Just take my lorgnette so I could read it.
At the bottom, Figs has written the title, A Loving Portrait of Primrose Patterson. And you shudder to think what Aunt Primrose would say if she were to realize this was meant to be her.
Oh.
Yes, Aunt Primrose, you're a gelatinous heap of trash or compost.
Compost, if you're British. Here we are. Now let's see.
She says, polishing her lorgnette carefully on a dainty lace cloth. You could take drastic action by destroying Aunt Primrose's glasses, but that would be sure to irritate Aunt Primrose. You could damage the painting, but that would make Figs and Mopsy rather unhappy. You could also simply let her read the title, and then try to get her to see the humor of it, although that could go badly wrong. Finally, riskiest of all, but potentially most effective, would be to somehow deceive her into thinking the title says something it doesn't. For example, God bless this home.
That didn't go so well.
Apparently, it would be A Loving Portrait of Brimstone Matterhorn.
I like that.
Oh, and the way to sabotage the painting, I guess, is to squirt ink on the title. Or if she learns it was her, explain it was meant with kindness. Which is true.
Oh,
I know Fless didn't go so well, but I'm kind of leaning towards A Loving Portrait of Brimstone Matterhorn.
Okay. Allow me to read that for you, madam, I say. It reads, A Loving Portrait of Brimstone Matterhorn.
Oh no, I'm scared. Eh?
She leans over to read it, but you lean over too, getting in her way. Yes, the handwriting is abysmal, but it clearly says Brimstone Matterhorn.
What is Brimstone Matterhorn?
I assume it refers to the great Matterhorn mountain in the Alps. The artist has painted it with a yellowish hue, as if it were made of brimstone. Fascinating. Aunt Primrose sniffs at you.
You are talking nonsense, Cotswold. I recommend you get your vision checked at once from a reputable eye doctor. I can give you a number of recommendations. This clearly says, open my way, you Primrose Patterson.
Ridiculous, you scoff. That's never a P. That's a B.
I think I know how to read my own name.
Aunt Primrose says,
It's as high as I can go today.
her voice rising through a number of octaves until the final word echoes shrilly through the gallery. Figs cringes at the sound.
Thank you very much, Cotswold.
Yes, of course, madam, you do.
I'm glad you agree. So this is meant as a portrait of me, this quivering pile of gelatinous garbage.
She turns away and looks up with fire in her eyes, the only sound the grinding of her teeth.
Okay, guess that didn't work.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
At least Ben is having fun.
I am ready to render judgment on this piece of artwork.
Declares Aunt Primrose. She faces it squarely and throws a finger in the air.
Aye, but which one?
We will find out. Well, we'll find out what her judgment is. We might not find out which finger it was.
The middle finger would be a judgment. Would not be a positive one.
Oh.
I think she's a little too refined for that.
But I think it might have been that one.
That was the one she just put up. Okay, she flipped the bird at it. It is vile. It is insulting.
Says
that, I suppose... sorry, I got...
Says Aunt Primrose.
There is, I suppose, some faint gleam of potential talent buried under this morass of swill, like a single ember burning at the bottom of a heap of ashes. So, what you're saying is you think the art is talented?
Says Mopsy, a note of victory in her voice.
I do not say that.
Says Aunt Primrose firmly.
Merely that there are a few bits of it that are not complete rubbish.
We did better than we could have.
A mixed review, then.
Fig says.
Better than mixed.
Mopsy adds. Aunt Primrose frowns.
Why do you take it so personally, Mopsy? What is it to whether...
Then she understands.
Mopsy, did you contrive to have one of the works of the Fig's man placed here?
Mopsy nods uncertainly.
I see. My opinion of that man is not particularly improved. Indeed, it is confirmed for me that he is hopeless and unworthy of you. But you said there was potential talent.
Protests Mopsy.
Never mind what I said. The man is still 99.5% nincompoop. I'm sorry you had to witness that, Professor. Now let us all come along and return to the dining room.
Figs withers utterly at this, and lags behind with you. Aw.
Oh,
Cannot go on. I cannot.
He says.
Ruined everything, as usual.
Yeah.
Oh,
pretty much, but I'm sorry.
I mean, we could have actually caused it to go well if we made the right choices, so technically it's not your fault. Technically, it's my friend's fault. I'm so
Thanks,
nice.
Ben. Thanks.
You follow Figs into the sitting room, where he jumps behind a Chinese ornamental screen and begins furiously tearing his costume off.
I gave it a good try, Cotswold. I really did. There were 1 or 2 moments where I thought I did well, but this whole affair simply isn't working. Perhaps a cleverer man could have made more of this opportunity, but I don't think I'm that man.
He puts his hand to his wig and beard to remove them. Gently, sir, if you... He pulls them off with one swift motion, which pulls out some of his hair and a bit of skin.
Ew.
I'm not good at the screaming thing.
So no future in a metal band for you, huh?
No.
Thank you, I'll be here all week.
Could be the non-screamer member of the band.
The silent one.
Yeah.
Just stand there on stage doing nothing, just staring at people.
You're the starer.
Yeah, the very intense starer.
So
Every metal band needs one.
You don't have an instrument either, you just stand and stare.
Your presence is an instrument.
I pick like one person each show and just stare at them the entire time.
Yes.
Okay.
The designated staring staff. Yog. Like, just say it like you're a text-to-speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There, we got one from everyone.
You just combine them all at once into one terrible sound.
Yeah, just like, I don't know. I'm picturing combining them all, like, overlapping.
In, like, a horrible way.
Speeding it up slightly, but also dropping it an octave or something.
Please, please, this will be a nightmare. I love it. I love it.
Figs has become, like, some sort of...
Alien.
Elder abomination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we're all going another round.
Yeah.
Just so you have 2 tries.
Add fuel to the fire.
Yes. The more layers.
Yeah.
He screams. He throws you the wig, beard, and costume, which you catch instinctively. Then he opens the window and steps outside.
I'm retreating, Cotswold. I need to collect myself and think of a new plan. Farewell.
And, wearing only a pair of red long underwear, he jumps out the window. There comes a knock on the door.
Professor Hickory, did I just hear you shout, Yog?
So we can either say that we meant, Yeah, that was a wonderful meal. Because I guess we're being Professor Hickory now. Can say that it was just a splinter, or just say, nah, that was your imagination.
It was a splinter.
I got a splinter. I'm fine now, I say. My voice changed. Yeah.
We did good. We got through the painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the pain.
Yeah. Well, it could have gone worse. I think.
Figs just jumped out the window in his underwear.